welcome to your video tutorial for Part C of your Kinematics and Motion Capture Lab for Biomechanics 2040. This video is going to go through how to use Kinovea, and it's going to give you a lot of the same information you would have read in your lab handout, but with just a little bit more detail. So hopefully if you had any questions after reading through your lab handout, this video can answer them. When you open Kinovea, you should see a home page that looks something like this. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do once you get Kinovea open is get your video recording of your participant performing their long jump into Kinovea. You can do this one of two ways. You can either use the integrated webcam on your laptop or whatever device you're using to run Kinovea and record a live video using that camera. Or you can download a pre-recorded video into Kinovea and input that into the software. Now in this video I'm going to show you how to do both, and we're going to start with doing the integrated camera method. So if you're choosing to use the integrated camera on your laptop, you're going to want to go up to the top left corner, and now I'm just going to pull out this left side so we can see it a little bit better. You're going to want to go up to the top left corner and click this camera button here, this camera icon. It's going to pull up something that looks like this. Now you can see on the left hand side that you see the names of all cameras you have access to, and on the right hand side you have a still from your integrated camera that was taken the moment you opened this tab. Now if you want to use your integrated camera, you can either double click right here where it says integrated camera, or you can double click on this still from your integrated camera. That's going to bring up a live view of your integrated camera on your computer that you're using. Now to record a video here, you're going to want to press this red record button down here, and then to stop the recording you're going to want to press that button again. If you're recording a video of yourself, you can set a time delay by increasing this delay in seconds here. Now what this time delay does, it's going to slow down your video, as you can see right now. And this just gives you the chance to hit the record button and then go get yourself set up to do your jump. And then that way you can record yourself without missing any time. So if you are recording on someone else, however, you're going to want to set that delay to 0 so that you can record automatically. Now again, to record, you press this red record button, and then when you're ready to stop your recording, you're going to press that button again and it's going to stop your recording. So once you're done your recording, you're going to see a still from that video you just recorded pop up down here. Now to bring that video up to full screen, you're going to want to double click on this still right there. It's going to process your video. It might take a second, but it'll bring your video up as a window to the side. Now to watch that video back, just press this play button down here. You want to make sure that you're watching that video back so that you can make sure that you've recorded the video correctly. So that means that you're going to want to make sure that your participant's visible during the whole video, that you can see your participant's head and feet, and that all of the markers remain on your participant during the whole video, and that the participant is performing the jump correctly. So you want them to start at a static standing position, then do their long jump, and then end at a static standing position. Once you're happy with your video, you can pause the video and then go and export your video so that it's saved to your computer just in case something happens to Kinovea, and you are then able to re-upload your video into Kinovea so that you don't have to re-record it. So go down here at this export video button right down here, and then you can save your video by hitting the save button so that you can then put your video back into Kinovea if anything happens. So once you're happy with your video and it's saved correctly, you can exit out of the live camera view just by clicking this exit button. That'll bring up your recorded video so that it's full screen. Now you can go from here and do the next steps of your lab in this window if you're choosing to use the integrated camera. But I'm going to now exit out of this recorded video so that I can go over and show you what it would look like to input a pre-recorded video into Kinovea. So to input a pre-recorded video, you're going to want to go up to the top left-hand corner and click this File tab. Now what this File tab is going to do is bring up a folder section that shows you all of the folders and all of the files that you have saved on your computer. You're going to want to go to wherever you have your video saved. For me, that's in Captures. Once I hit that folder, you can see that it brings up the name of all the video files that are saved under that folder in a still from those video files. Now you can either double click on the name of the video you want to bring up or the still from the video you want to bring up to bring it up as a full screen. Now that I have the video up, I can drag this left side back over so that I can see the video better. Again, you want to watch that video back to make sure that everything worked properly, to make sure that you can see your participant's head and feet, to make sure that all of the markers are visible and all of the markers are on your participant, and to make sure that your participant is starting at a static standing position, performing their long jump like this, and then ending at a static standing position. Now, you want to make sure that you record this video in landscape so that it shows up like this when you upload it into Kinovea. Once you're happy with your video, we can then move forward to creating your reference line. Now, in lab, you should have measured the distance from your participant's hip marker to the participant's knee marker. Now, this is your known distance that you're going to use to create a reference line. What a reference line is just a line of a known distance or an object of a known distance within the frame of a video that you can then input into that video so that the software can then determine how long objects are within the video and use that information to calculate kinematic variables such as velocities and distances traveled and all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to use that reference length, our known length, to create a reference line so that Kinovea can then know the length of all of the objects within this frame. So to create our reference line, we're going to go down to the bottom of the screen and click on this line tool. That's going to turn your mouse into this little crosshairs that you can see. Okay? To create that line, you're going to want to hover over the center of the hip marker, left click on the line, left click on the hip marker, and drag that down to the center of the knee marker. Once you're happy with the placement of your crosshairs on the knee marker, let go of your left click and your line should stay there. If you're unhappy with where you've put your line, click on this move tool right here and then right click on the line and you can delete it. I'm going to add that line back in and hover over the hip marker, left click and drag, and then release when you're happy with the line placement. Once you're happy with your line placement, you're going to want to input the real value of that length of that segment. So you're going to want to right click on the line using your move tool, and you're going to want to go down to calibrate. In this menu that now pops up, you're going to want to input the real size of that segment, so the real length from the hip to the knee. I'm going to say that my participant's length from their hip to their knee was 105 centimeters. Make sure that if you didn't measure in centimeters, you switch this to whatever metric you measured in. Then I'm going to want to change the coordinate system alignment to aligned with image axis. Once you're done and you're happy with all of your information, hit apply, and you're going to see that the length of the segment pops up right here. Now what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to click and drag my reference line over so that it's out of the way, just to make this image a little bit clearer for the next steps. So now I can watch my video just to make sure that my participant doesn't run into that line, and you can see how the line disappears as you go to the next frame. That's because I didn't tell Kinovea to keep that line in image, so I'm just going to right click on the line and I'm going to go under visibility and I'm going to click always visible. Now once I play my video, that line is going to stay visible during the whole jump. And I can see that the line is out of the way, so it's not interfering with the participant's jump. That way it's not going to interfere with any of the tasks that we're doing later with this video. Once I'm happy with where that line is, I can return to the start of my video, and I'm going to create a working video from my full-length video. And so I'm just going to crop my video down so that we don't have all of this dead space here where my participant isn't moving at all, because none of that is interesting to us. So I'm going to find the start of my jump where my participant starts to go from the static standing position to bending their knees to take that jump. I'm going to say that's right about here. Okay, once I find that frame that I'm interested in, I can use this open bracket tool to tell Kinovea this is the start of my working video. Once I hit that, I've now created a working video. So you can see that the length of our scrub line here is still the same, but we now have this green line within a larger line. This green line, that's our working video, and this is the rest of our video that we've just cut out. So if I play the video, you can see that it starts now later. If I make a mistake on where to start my video, I can just go over here to this top part and drag either forward to crop the video a little bit more or back to bring more frames back in. So now I want to make sure that I'm just happy with where this started. So I'm going to pull it back just a little bit. Now I'm happy with where that starts. Okay, the next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to determine the end of my working video. So I want that to be when my participant stands back upright, which would be right about this frame. And again, I'm going to go down here, and now I'm going to click the closed brackets to tell Kinovea that this is the end of my working video. And now I can watch. There we go, that's my working video there. Now I'm happy with those frames that I've chosen. I'm going to move on to the next part of this analysis, and that's going to be to add in my digital markers on top of these real life markers that we have. Now I want to make sure that I start at the very first frame of my video, because the digital markers are going to populate through the rest of the frames in the video, but they're not going to populate backwards. So if you add the digital markers halfway through the video, you're going to have to delete them and then re-record them. Okay, so now that I'm at the first frame of my video, I can hover over the center of my hip marker. I'll start with creating the digital marker for my hip. Hover over the center of that hip marker, and then you're going to right click. Then you're going to go down to track path and hit track path. It's going to pop up with a box with a smaller box inside of it and a crosshairs over top of the marker. Grab this box using your move tool, just left click on it, and then you can drag it to wherever you want it to be set up. Okay, once you're happy with where that's set up, you're going to want to again use the move tool, which is down here, and you're going to want to right click on anywhere on the box. Okay, and then you're going to want to go to configuration. Okay, in this configuration pop-up, you can name this digital marker. So I'm going to want to name this hip, just so that I can keep track of my digital marker, and then I can also use the move tool to drag this crosshairs around. Now that I can see it in a larger image, I can see if I've made any mistakes with where the center of the marker is. Once I'm happy with where the marker is and the name of my marker, I can hit apply. Now, Kinovea should be tracking the movement of the real life marker at the hip all the way through this video. But this can be kind of hard for Kinovea, especially if stuff like an arm moves in front of the marker. So I want to go through and check Kinovea's work and move the marker back to the center of my real marker if the digital marker ever slips off of the real marker. So I want to go frame by frame using this go to next frame button and just make sure that the digital marker stays in the correct spot. So I'm going to click through the next frames, and I'm just watching to make sure that my digital marker stays on the center of my real marker. And now that the arms are coming close to the real marker, I'm probably going to see the digital marker pop off of the real marker, and I'll just have to correct that. See, it popped off just a little bit from the center, so I'm just going to drag that right back to the center of the marker, and do your best to put it right in the center of the marker like you had it before. And then you're going to keep clicking through, and likely when the arms come back through, I'll see the digital marker move like it just did, and put it back to where the center of the marker is. If you're having a hard time seeing the marker in the zoomed out image, you can always right click and go back to see the larger view. Okay, now that I've reached the end of the video and I've corrected the location of my tracker at each point in the video, I can move on to making my next digital marker. So I'm going to hover right over the knee real life marker and right click. Again, I'm going to do the same thing, hit track path, and move this box here. Okay, right until it's in the center of the marker, and then right click and go down to configuration and name this knee and spell knee correctly, and then hit apply. And then you're going to want to go to the next frame to check to make sure the tracker tracks correctly on the knee. This takes a little bit of time, you just need to be patient with it. Okay, and now I can do the ankle, right click, track path, move that tracker, right click, configuration, ankle. Okay, and just scrub through the video, going frame by frame to make sure that the tracker works. Okay, perfect. Now that we've added all of our digital trackers, digital markers into our video, we can go up into Tools and go under Linear Kinematics to pull up graphs that look something like this, and they're tracking the movement of our digital markers. Okay, you can see that you have several different data sources up here. You can either click on or click off each of your digital markers. You want to make sure that your hip, your knee, and your ankle digital markers are all clicked on so you can see them in the graph. Okay? You want to check to make sure that time is in either absolute or relative. It shouldn't change as you switch between absolute and relative. Okay? Make sure that your labels are correct, so make sure that the title is accurate, make sure that the x-axis is accurate, and make sure that the y-axis is accurate, x and y. And then you're going to want to go into data and choose which linear kinematic variable you want in your graph. So there are 4 different linear kinematic variable graphs you're going to want to download. You're going to want to start with relative horizontal displacement and pull that up. Again, check title, check x-axis, check y-axis, make sure everything is correct, make sure all your data sources are clicked on, all of the important digital markers, make sure the time is in absolute or relative, and then you can download this file. You can either download it as an image by exporting your graph and going to Save File under Export Graph. You can click Save File and save it to your computer. Or you can export this data to Excel by going to Save File and saving as an Excel file. Okay? The next one you're going to want to download is relative vertical displacement. Then you're going to want to download horizontal velocity and vertical velocity. Once you're done, you can exit out of this. And that's all you're going to need to know for Part C of this lab. Good luck with your lab, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your TAs.